CI/CD, or continuous integration, continuous deployment, is a widely used engineering process. It's important to understand because it helps engineers build faster and more efficiently. In this video, I am going to be explaining what exactly CI/CD is in software development, along with its benefits in the real world, the different stages in a CI/CD pipeline, and some popular tools you can use to implement CI/CD yourself. I also will be giving a hands-on demo where I will be setting up a CI/CD pipeline for a Java app using GitHub Actions. So what is CI/CD? Let's look at the definition. CI/CD is a set of practices that automate the process of integrating and deploying code changes to production. But how does it speed up software development? CI/CD automates the software development process, starting from when code is committed to a shared repository. Plain and simply, it eliminates the manual human intervention required to get new code into production by automatically building, testing, and deploying every code change. In the real world, this means many people working on one project can write better quality code faster, safer, and more efficient. For example, let's say you work on a team of 3 engineers where each engineer works on their part of the code and commits their changes to a central repository like GitHub. They don't want to alter the main source code, so they first create a separate branch and send a pull request for their code to be merged into the main branch. This is where CI/CD takes over and automatically attempts to build, test, and scan the code for any bad code changes. If everything is okay, then the new code is merged into the main branch and automatically deployed to production. Now that all sounds great, but that can't be it. A CI/CD pipeline has many different stages. CI, or continuous integration, includes the source stage, build stage, and test stage. CD, or continuous delivery and deployment, includes everything involved with deploying the code to production and making sure everything goes correct. This includes functional testing to make sure every feature works as expected, beta testing, and load testing. This also includes monitoring the app post-deployment to make sure nothing unexpected happens, and rolling back the software if something does. So what are some popular tools you can use to implement a CI/CD pipeline? Well, a good source code management software like GitHub, which lets you upload, test, and build code, is the foundation. Let's look at the benefits of using a CI/CD process in your engineering flow. The first benefit is a faster time to market. Using automated tools, we no longer have to do things manually, which allows us to deploy our code faster by finding bugs quicker. This leads to a smoother app release with improved code quality. This in turn reduces risk and enhances collaboration because engineers can commit code more frequently. This helps achieve shorter feedback loops, less downtime, and all in a more reliable infrastructure. Now let's do a demo to set up a CI/CD pipeline for a Java application using GitHub Actions. Let's say we store our code on GitHub. We can use GitHub Actions to automatically build, test, and deploy our app. For this demo, I wrote a very simple Java program that prints Hello World to the console. This app uses Gradle as a build tool and is containerized, so we will create a Docker container using this Docker file, which will then get deployed to a container registry in the cloud. For this case, I will be using Docker Hub, but you can also deploy to AWS using an ECS, EKS, or EC2 instance. The reason setting up a CI/CD pipeline is so helpful is because if I were to do this all myself, I would need to manually run a ton of commands, like Gradle build to compile the code, then Gradle test to test the code, then Docker build to build an image of the entire app, and then finally Docker push to deploy the image. But with CI/CD, I can automate all of this. In the test file, I'm running 2 tests with JUnit to check the results of the add and subtract methods. If during the test, either of the functions return the wrong answer, the entire test will fail and throw an error. This is the GitHub Actions file used to configure a CI/CD pipeline. It triggers the pipeline to start whenever there is a push or pull request to the main branch. When that happens, it automatically runs these 3 tests, 1 to build and test our app, 1 to generate and submit a dependency graph, and 1 to deploy our app to the cloud. Assuming everything works correctly and there are no bugs in the code, When the pipeline finishes, we should see that a new container has been pushed to our registry on Docker Hub. Now to show you this whole process in action, I am going to go ahead and make a change in the main file. Instead of a plus b, I'm going to put a times b and commit the changes to GitHub. This will trigger the pipeline, and as you can see here, it's currently running the first two jobs in parallel. Once this build job here succeeds, then it will go ahead and deploy our app. It may take a few seconds, but because of the bug we added to the main file, you can see that our build has failed and that the deploy did not happen. If I click on the failed action, you can see that the build failed is tests. This is an example of how CI/CD can help companies and teams. It automatically tested our code and stopped any bugs from getting deployed to production, which is really helpful. Now let's go back and fix that bug by changing this back to a plus b. Now I'm going to once again commit the changes and push to GitHub. This will trigger the pipeline, but this time everything should pass and our app should successfully get deployed. Here in Docker Hub, we should see the newly deployed apps container right here, and if I click it, we should see that the latest version was just added a few seconds ago. Now I'm going to go ahead and run the app so you can see that it works. I'll do that by opening my terminal and running docker pull. This will pull the apps container from the cloud and put it onto my computer where I can run it. Okay, so the pull is finished, and now I can run my app like this, and as you can see, it worked. The app printed hello world. So that's it for the demo. I really hope this video has helped to demonstrate how CI/CD works in the real world. It's not that complicated, you just have to start with the basics.